Good. All right. Hey, Samir, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well, thanks. Um,
Nice.
just to jump right into it, how did you come across Michael Larson's story? And then did you get to see the original tapes?
Uh, that's a good question. The original tape actually found me. I was in the Goodwill in Silver Lake. I live in LA, and I actually like to go to these thrift shops to look just for tapes and film and old photographs and stuff. And yeah, a couple years ago during the pandemic, actually, I went to this Goodwill and I found a bunch of VHSs, and one of them was the recording of Press Your Luck. So I started watching the show, and because I started watching it, I started researching it, and that's how I found Michael.
That's crazy. I grew up on Game Show Network and I got very into Press Your Luck. And so I've never seen the tape, but I'm so jealous that you just came across it in a random.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah,
crazy.
yeah. 39 years later, it was
Yeah.
amazing.
So how do you, Michael Larson was a real man, and there's some like there's truth to the story that you're telling, as fantastical as it is. So as a co-writer and then director, how do you draw the line between honoring the truth of who Michael was and the strange thing that he did, and then creating your own vision and your own story in a film?
Yeah, so the beautiful thing about that 42-minute clip that you can find on YouTube
Oh.
is that it is really just the game show.
Hmm.
Um, but we started doing a lot of research of how the tapings happened, and we had Bill Carruthers Jr. as our creative consultant. He was the son of the creator of the show, who told us how the casting would work, how what would happen in the commercial breaks, what would happen at the end of each taping. And with this information is when we started filling in the blanks. So yes, the 42 minutes are very faithful if you look at that. But everything that happens in the commercial breaks and before and after is when we came in to fill in those blanks and complete the story. And that story is also informed by Michael's life. We Part of the research that we did was looking into his love life and realizing that the guy had three failed marriages and different kids
Hmm.
with these women. So we know that his love life was a little bit complicated. And that's where I felt like his need for validation was necessary, which is something that as a international filmmaker trying to make it into Hollywood, um, I felt related, and also with the fact that yeah, several of my girlfriends have left me because I'm a struggling director trying to make it as an artist. So I understood this, and that's when I was like, okay, I can definitely tell this story.
Absolutely. Were you able, like you said, most of the film is a single setting. I think you maybe have two scenes that don't take place somewhere on the CBS lot. Did you get to
Right.
shoot on CBS lot? Did you get to see, because they have a new Press Your Luck game show now. Did you get to see any part of that, or where did the filming take
No,
place?
no. So we were in a different studio, and we recreated Television City. The new one is not. Yeah, no, that's different. We have no association with that one.
Okay. So the film has a lot of really wonderful wipes and fades that are reminiscent of this 80s era of filmmaking. Did you visualize that in the script, or did it come about as you were doing the editing?
It actually happened. Some of them were writing, and some of them were during the editing process. But actually, some of them happened in production too.
Hmm.
Especially the ones in the tour. When we got to the set and we realized, like, oh, okay, these guys need to come from the right, but
Hmm.
we just left from the left. It would be really nice if we can do some wipes. And then the construction and the like graphic part of it, the aesthetic part of it, we started experimenting with it in post, so during the editing process. But yes, we were very much aware of those wipes, and I'm a big fan of those transitions and the playfulness
Hmm.
that that era brought. That now seems to have been, yeah, like forgotten. Now everything is a little bit serious and formulaic. So we wanted to honor the time with these.
Absolutely. So game shows kind of exist in this weird world because they sell I would say, a shortcut to the American dream, but
Yeah.
the contestants don't often realize like the taxes and the negative repercussions of winning it big. And these shows are selling something that doesn't exist. And so I was wondering how you personally feel about game shows and if you feel like they're modern snake oil salesmen of sorts.
Yes, I absolutely believe that. Those contestants are just the victims, are victims of the executives that need to sell entertainment.
Mm,
So yes, I do believe that game shows are like the lottery. Like they promise you like 5 minutes of fame, and that's why I do believe that Michael is such a beautiful, extraordinary case, is because he avoided becoming a victim. He saw it and he was like, "Oh, I can exploit this," and he kind of like flashed it back to the executives. He was like, "I'm not going to be part of this. I'm not your puppet. I'm smarter than you all," and that's why I fell in love with the story.
that kind of goes to my next question. Some executives in the film talk about how they think he's cheating, or they're sure that he's wearing a wire to notice the patterns or to know when to press the button. And it sounds like you personally don't feel like he was cheating.
No, not at all. I don't believe that he cheated. I believe that he's a mastermind who was very, very smart, very brilliant man, and he just exploited a loophole. And yeah, he proved that he was smarter than the executives than Hollywood people, which is always amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think he cheated for a second. If you notice that, then that is on you. Go for it.
Exact.
Uh,
Exact.
So this is not the first, because like I said, I was familiar with the story, and I actually talked to Thomas Gomez Bustillo a couple months ago, and
Oh,
he,
really?
yeah, yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I talked to him about Chronicles of a Wandering Saint, and I
Beautiful.
asked him like what was coming up, and he told me about this, and I was like, oh my gosh, because I love this story. I just think it's so interesting.
Oh,
Uh,
beautiful. Okay,
yeah.
yeah. Tommy's our partner in Plenty Good. I went to school with him, and he's like my business partner, my one of my best friends. I love him and his movie.
Yeah, he's such a great guy. And then when he mentioned this, like I said, I was so interested, and the I was curious how you would structure the film because this is not Michael's first idea to hit it big, and it was not his last either. So,
Right.
what made you decide to only focus on this small part of Michael's life instead of a more kind of sprawling biopic, if you will?
Yeah, so actually that's a great question. Actually, at the very beginning, I wanted to do the Catch Me If You Can version.
Mm,
Um, but I started working on the script in the pandemic, and we realized that if we actually wanted to make the film, we had to like remove as many variables as possible for possible investors and producers.
mhm,
So we realized that as first-time filmmakers, unfortunately, yeah, like you need to elbow yourself into the industry and prove yourself. And people are always going to try to poke holes in your script and in your production plan. But if we presented something that was very self-contained and very foolproof, they would be interested.
mhm,
So that's when we realized, okay, let's make this a pressure cooker, like comedy thriller,
mhm,
where it will be one single location and then we'll exploit every single nook and cranny. And that way it'll be accepted by the financiers and they're not going to be able to poke any holes and they're going to let us shoot the movie. And that's exactly what happened when we reduced and when it became a very like relatively simple single location movie,
mhm,
everyone was on board. So obviously, like in terms of scope, I would have, yeah, at the beginning I wanted to do something bigger, but the reality is that as a first English language movie, I had to, yeah, like reduce and reduce variables and make it simple for financiers and producers, and that's why we resorted to that. But I'm actually very happy that we did so
mhm,
because the idea is that it with that you'll get a sense of where he was coming from and what he was going to do after
mhm.
and you can go and research his life and find out for yourself later after you're done with the movie.
Yeah. My last question for you is it's kind of a fun one. Which game show or reality competition do you think that you could win it big on, like Michael? And you can cheat. You can obsessively watch. He had like 12 TVs up, right, in his home. So whatever planning you want to go into it, I'm just curious which one you think would be your one.
I think I would be into the Survivor ones actually.
Okay.
Into throwing me in a deserted island and surviving. I think I'm pretty self-reliant, and I really love the beach and the Caribbean. I've shot in the Caribbean before, and
Hmm.
I try to go there every year. So I always, every time I'm there, I'm usually thinking like, I think I could handle myself here.
What about the puzzles? You think the puzzles, no problem?
Puzzles.
Because they do puzzles on Survivor, don't they? To like win the
Yeah,
extra.
yeah, 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 yeah. No, I think I could do those too. I think part of the reason why I also relate to Michael is because I usually tend to look for unorthodox ways to solving things.
Hmm.
So I think I could get those done.
All right, very nice. Well, maybe I'll see you in Toronto later this week, and then maybe I'll see you on Survivor one day. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tina.
Thank you.